Our second module in this personal productivity course is motivating people. By the end of this module, we expect that you'll be able to define motivation from a management point of view, describe what influences the behavior of people with whom you work with, explain factors of job enrichment that make work more attractive, describe the team leader's role in motivating his work team, and then apply job enrichment techniques to motivate your work team. So we'll be looking at what is motivation. We'll comprehend people's behavior at work through examining some theories of behavior. We'll look at what makes work interesting to staff, and also the role of the manager in creating what motivates people. So what is motivation? Motivation is a conscious or unconscious driving force that arouses and directs action towards the achievement of a desired goal. This definition was got from Longman English Dictionary. Because motivation can be both conscious or unconscious, we aren't necessarily aware of what it is that motivates us. Pause for a while and think of the things that motivate you unconsciously. Examples of unconscious motivations are your desires, your impulses, memories that have been repressed into an unconscious state. To motivate a person to do something, you have to make them want to do it, not force them to do it. Motivation is a driving force and powerful influence for good or ill. Motivation with good influences are those that help us move nearer to our desired results and help us to be better in whatever it is we are doing. Let's look at some theories of human behavior and try and understand how it influences behavior at work. We're going to be looking at 5 different theories. We're going to be looking at theory of needs of Abraham Maslow, theory X and theory Y of Douglas McGregor, theory of 2 factors of Frederick Herzberg, theory of expectancy, Hackman's and Oldham's viewpoints about the fundamental characteristics of the work that creates an internal motivation. Understanding what motivates people is very difficult. There is no simple formula that will tell you, treat people like this and you'll get the best from them. The subject of motivation has occupied many brilliant minds over the past 50 years or so. In the next few sections, we are going to look at the theories indicated, which are some of the most significant theories about the behavior of people at work. The first theory we're going to be looking at is Maslow's theory of needs. What are the needs of human beings? What must they have in order to be happy, successful, or even just survive? Maslow considered these questions and came to the conclusion that human needs can be thought of as being on several distinct levels. The first level need is the physiological needs, the need for food, air, water, sleep. These come as number 1 priority for people. That is, the physiological needs are the first needs that an individual tries to satisfy. I'm sure you can add to these needs. The second needs are the safety needs. And what he said was that once the needs of our body are satisfied, that is the physiological needs, we tend to look for security and stability. The third level needs are the social needs. Here again, once the safety needs are satisfied, an individual works on satisfying the social needs. Social needs are the next important needs that a person works to satisfy. These needs include affection, friendship, and belonging. The next is the esteem needs, and these include self-respect and achievement. The final and the highest on the hierarchy is the self-actualization. The final human goal is self-fulfillment. That is the development of our full potential in whatever field our talent lies in. So, when one level of need is satisfied, then we tend to go to the higher need. You might not actually agree with this theory, but as it is, it's only a theory, it's not a fact. The next theory we're going to be discussing is theory X and Y. McGregor came up with a question. He wanted to find out how managers see the behavior of people at work. McGregor believed that managerial decisions and actions were based on the assumptions they made about human nature and human behavior. And he came up with two theories, called Theory X and Y. Theory X states that people inherently dislike work and will avoid it if they can. And because they dislike work, they have to be offered rewards to work and threatened with punishment if they don't. They prefer to be controlled and directed. They want to avoid responsibility, and they have little ambition and desire security more than anything else. What do you think about Theory X? Do you think these ideas are an accurate description of people at work? Do you think that managers frequently have such views of people at work? I need you to think about this. Theory Y states that people do not dislike work, but under the right conditions and circumstances, they can enjoy it. If they are committed to the objectives of the group, they will direct and control themselves rather than having to be controlled from above. People will be committed to objectives if they are getting enough personal satisfaction from the job. The average human being learns to accept and to seek responsibility if the conditions are right. Ingenuity and creativity are widely distributed and generally underutilized. You would agree with me that Theory Y is different from Theory X. McGregor saw human beings as being dynamic rather than static. Theory Y indicates the possibility of human growth and development, given the right work conditions and environment. Do you believe that people at work behave like this? Or might they behave like this if they were given the opportunity? Think about it. The next theory we're going to be looking at is Herzberg's two-factor theory. Herzberg's exploration of motivation gives us useful insight into how people feel about work. He stated that factors causing job satisfaction are quite different from the factors that lead to job dissatisfaction. He called the factors which stand out as strong determiners of job satisfaction motivating factors. The motivating factors have to do with the job itself, and the motivating factors are achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, and advancement. Achievement is the personal satisfaction of completing a job, solving its problems, and seeing the successful results of your own efforts. Recognition is the acknowledgement for a job efficiently done. This may arise from within the individual, or it may be appreciation shown by others. The work itself, the positive effects of the job upon the person. The job may, for example, be interesting, varied, creative, and challenging. Responsibility. This is the degree of control a person has over the work. The amount of control that people can exercise is in part influenced by their authority and the responsibility that goes with it. And the last motivating factor is advancement. This is the opportunity to achieve promotion within the organization. Advancement also occurs when someone is given more freedom to exercise initiative at their normal work. On your screen, you'll see an activity. Take your time and answer the 5 questions there. If you answered yes without qualification to all these questions, then you probably agree with Herzberg's list of motivating factors. If you didn't simply answer yes, then you disagree to some extent. There's certainly no harm in disagreeing. As you have probably realized by now, there are no hard and fast rules about this subject. In fact, it isn't a question of following a set of rules at all. How you apply motivation in your job will depend on your own understanding of the way people behave. The second set of factors are called the maintenance factors. These are the factors which Hesberg found to have the effect of causing dissatisfaction, but which do not affect motivation in any positive way. Maintenance factors have to do with your work environment. So it's working conditions, policies and administrative style, supervision, interpersonal relations, salary, status, and job security. Maintenance factors can reduce the level of performance, but not increase it. The analogy is that lack of maintenance may cause an equipment to deteriorate, but regular maintenance will not improve its performance. You might reasonably conclude that working conditions don't affect the performance of the team, provided they are fairly good. If the conditions become very difficult, performance is affected adversely. If, on the other hand, working conditions become better than just quite good, it makes little difference to performance. In conclusion, we can say that satisfaction at work lie in the content of the job, and then the causes of dissatisfaction lie in the working environment. The next theory we're going to be discussing is the theory of expectancy. The reason for trying to motivate people at work is, as we've already discussed, because motivated employees are more likely to want to achieve the objectives which managers have set. Another way of saying this is that when motivation is high, improved performance usually results. Another way of saying this is that when motivation is high, improved performance usually results. But of course, improved performance only comes about through the efforts of the motivated workers. If you look on your screen, you'll see the motivation performance cycle of the theory of expectancy. What this cycle simply means is that motivation is usually a result of some kind of reward. And as we've said earlier on, the reward does not have to be monetary. Rewards are not obtained without good performance. In other words, when performance is good, then you get your reward. Performance can only be achieved if you put in enough effort to attain the level of performance expected. And then efforts are made when people are motivated. So that's really what that cycle is explaining. But we also know that some things can go wrong in this cycle. For example, what if the reward you were expecting doesn't come? It means that the workers will not be motivated. And when the workers are not motivated, then they don't put in enough effort. Something can also go wrong in the effort performance cycle. What if the employees put in enough effort, but they still do not come out with the outputs that the managers are expecting? Why would they put in enough effort and they do not come up with the kind of performance expected? Let's read the case on Hassan and see how we can break down this theory of expectancy. Hassan is a manager in charge of a team of machine operators in a modern clothing factory. The machines are semi-automatic, and the rate of production depends as much on the operator as the machine. The work needs a lot of concentration, and it is easy to spoil material by not keeping one's mind on the job. Hassan's manager called him one day and told him, "Hassan, we have a new contract, which means we will have to increase production to keep up with the orders. Unfortunately, as this is a one-off contract, we can't afford to bring in more machinery. In order to increase output, we intend to offer a bonus of 5,000 naira to any employee whose production rate increases by 10% or more." Using the theory of expectancy, answer the following questions. Can you think of 3 things that might go wrong at the different stages? That is, the motivation, effort, performance, reward cycle stages, which could prevent the company from succeeding in their plans. One thing that might go wrong is that the team may not consider the reward sufficient motivation, and so would not think it worthwhile making the extra effort being asked for. Again, if the target set for achieving the reward is seen as being too high, the team members may decide there is no point in trying to achieve it. Let us assume that the employees are happy with the reward they're going to get and they are motivated to work. And they put in enough effort to work. But guess what? There's a shortage of materials. It means that the operators cannot increase production and performance would, of course, reduce. One or more of the machines might go faulty. It also means that the operators cannot meet their production target. Now, I've given you various examples of what can go wrong in the different stages of the theory of expectancy cycle. Now, I want you to read the case one more time and think of the various things that can go wrong at the different stages of the expectancy cycle. The conclusion is that if motivation is to result in improved performance, then every aspect of the motivation, effort, performance, reward cycle has to be considered. The last theory we're going to be discussing is the Hackman and Oldham internal motivation theory. Hackman and Oldham described a state of affairs in which people try to do well because their work is rewarding and satisfying as internal motivation. Their concept of the way this is achieved is shown in the table on your screen. For there to be high internal motivation, the job must have some essential job characteristics. What are these characteristics? One is the feedback you get from your job. The second is autonomy. Third is variety of skills. The fourth is task identity. The fifth is work importance. How is the feedback from job important? How does it benefit the worker? The worker gets to know the result of his or her work. People ideally need clear information about the effectiveness of their performance directly from the job. The emphasis here is on direct feedback, as when an actor hears the audience applaud or a doctor observes a patient responding to treatment. Feedback provides knowledge of the results of the work. Workers and teams need to find out whether they are performing well or poorly. The other job characteristics is autonomy. Workers want to know that they have control over the outcome of their work. When the control you have over your work increases, you will tend to accept greater responsibility from the results. The next job characteristic is skill variety. This is the degree to which a job requires a variety of activities and skills. Workers who are able to perform tasks that they find challenging and require more than one skill or ability will experience meaningfulness. The more skills involved, the more meaningful the work is likely to be to them. The next job characteristic is task identity. Task identity is the extent to which a job requires a worker to finish a complete and identifiable piece of work. That is, the job has to have a beginning and an end, and a visible outcome. The next job characteristics is work importance. This represents the amount of impact the job has on the lives of other people, whether those people are in the immediate organization or in the world at large. If, for example, an inspector in a factory is told nothing about those who subsequently sell, buy, or use the product he manufactures, he or she will experience low work importance. These last three characteristics, that is, skill variety, task identity, and work importance, are essential if the worker is to experience the work as meaningful. As we have seen from all the theories we've discussed today, we know that motivating people is a complex topic, and there's no one-size-fits-all. But the important thing to note is that Once a person is motivated, he or she will be driven to act in a certain way. If the motivation is strong, it may not always be easy to direct and supervise these actions. In this next session, we'll be discussing what should be done to make our employees work more interesting and hence motivate them to work better. We'll discuss division of labor and its advantages and disadvantages, some approaches used by companies in their endeavor to motivate staff, and also what we should do to make jobs more interesting for our staff and motivate them accordingly. Micro-division of labor. This is a system employed in large factories running automated assembly lines. Jobs are usually broken down into very small bits, and each element is performed by a team of workers. Each member of the first team in the production line performs its part of the production process. Then the unfinished product is moved to the next group, and so on, until all the elements of the product is completed. Now, what are the advantages of micro-division of labor? One of the advantages is that production does not depend on skilled people, and so the absence of any individual does not interfere with the work. The work goes on whether you're present or not. Other people just take up the work and continue. Another advantage is that work can be closely controlled and monitored. The disadvantage of micro-division of labor is that jobs become very monotonous and boring. There is no scope to do the work better or more quickly. Machines control the rate of work. People who work on assembly lines have little opportunity for social contact. Another concept we will discuss is job rotation and enlargement. What is job rotation? It's basically moving employees from job to job, giving them opportunities to perform a greater variety of tasks at the same level of responsibility. Job enlargement, on the other hand, is expanding the number of tasks performed usually at the same level of responsibility. Do you think that job rotation and job enlargement approaches motivate people? If you said no, then you'd be correct. Job rotation and job enlargement fail to motivate people because they do not enable them to develop skills and knowledge, and they do not increase the level of significance of the job. Job enrichment. What is job enrichment? Job enrichment is redesigning work to provide employees with more variety and responsibility. It gives staff more opportunities for development of skills, more control over their work, and more work feedback about the work they are doing. How can we enrich jobs for our employees? We can enrich our employee jobs by removing unnecessary controls and increasing the responsibility and autonomy on the jobs. We can allow our staff to perform tasks at a range of different levels of responsibility, reduce the gap between doing the job and controlling the job by giving employees some of the responsibilities that management previously held. Removing unnecessary controls facilitates a feeling of autonomy on the part of an individual performing a job. Clarify goals. When people have clear, moderately difficult goals, they experience a clarity of expectations and sense of challenge that result in higher performance. Provide feedback. Giving feedback is to help the team member learn from the experience of both successes and failures so that they can do better next time. It is the key to encouraging staff to develop. So it's an important part of your responsibility as a team leader. Feedback should be designed to improve personnel performance. They can be informal or formal or on a one-to-one meeting. As a team leader, you have a responsibility to make sure your team members are sufficiently skilled and experienced to do the work of the team, both now and in the future. You also want to build a team that is well motivated. For this, you need to develop individual team members so that they are able to meet current and future demands. Investing in team members through development activities shows that you value their contribution. In conclusion, job rotation and job enlargement do not motivate staff. They may increase the quantity of work, but do not create opportunities for development. On the other hand, job enrichment motivates employees, as it often gives them the chance to gain experience and improve their skills. It gives them the opportunity to develop and advance inside the company. Job enrichment is the way to motivation. In this next session, we're going to be looking at the role of the manager in motivating staff. The team leader or manager leads his or her team to achieve the company's set objectives. The team leader has his role and responsibility. The role of a team leader is to coach, to facilitate, and to empower. What do coaches do? Coaches help people develop their full potential in whatever field they have chosen. What do facilitators do? Facilitators help clear the way of obstacles to make work and life easy for their employees. The team leader is also an empowerment agent. And this just means giving employees autonomy to perform their jobs. The responsibility of a team leader is to plan all activities, organize and coordinate the activities, guide his or her team members in the right direction, and lead the team with the aim of achieving the organization's objectives. Occasionally, the team leader might find him or herself in difficult circumstances. Difficulties may arise when the company is being reorganized or downsized, when colleagues are being made redundant, when there is some kind of uncertainty about the economic situation of the company, and any other thing that might cause some form of uncertainty. To keep the morale and motivation when you find yourself in such circumstances, what do? You need to seek information and pass on as much information as you can to give a better and a clearer picture. This is because anxiety feeds on doubt and rumors. People will tend to carry rumors when there is no clear message coming through. They seek information and pass it on to other people, and before you know it, the situation has gone out of hand. You must learn to counter cynicism with a positive approach. Keep your team members occupied with meaningful work, but don't overwhelm them with work. You need to also establish new, mutually supportive relationships with them. In the case of those who have been left behind when friends and colleagues have been let go, acknowledge and discuss the guilt that is likely to be felt. Talk with people and make sure that they're comfortable and actually know what is happening in the organization. So as a team leader, what do you do to motivate your staff? Create the right kind of climate or atmosphere. Learn to give rewards where they are deserved. Promote the worth of the job. Keep your work team informed. Communication is important. Be fair when you are allocating work. Make work as fun as possible. Take account of the circumstances under which people have to work. Remember, the work environment can be a dissatisfier. Give your team members scope for development. Avoid threats to job security. Make the team members' targets and objectives clear. This brings us to the end of this module. At the beginning of the module, our objectives were to define motivation from a management point of view, describe what influences the behavior of people with whom we work, explain factors of job enrichment that make work more attractive, describe the role of a team leader in motivating his work team, and applying job enrichment techniques to motivate our work team. I hope we've been able to deliver on these objectives. and that as a team leader, you'll be able to apply what you have learned in this module at work. Remember, motivated employees lead to increased productivity, and productive employees are a goldmine to any organization. Thank you.